So you've got a great line about coming from that tech background into manufacturing. What is that?
I call myself a refugee in the world of manufacturing
Yeah,
from tech,
that's great.
even though it's been 12 years
Yeah,
since I've been at this. Up until the end of the year, I was working full time with Momenta Ventures, and now I'm just part time. Momenta is a VC that invests in industrial, pretty much up and down the stack from hardware, smart sensors, for example, but all software enabled, all the way up to solutions that are essentially um, making processes or equipment more autonomous. So we invest on behalf of companies like Advantech, Rockwell, and Nippon Steel Solutions, which is a systems integration business of Nippon Steels. And before Momenta, I was doing my own thing, consulting, but also spent a bunch of time looking into reshoring before COVID, because I discovered at GE, where I was before that they had reshored appliance manufacturing. And the first thing that moved was a water boiler when it was made in China by somebody else who's $1,600 MSRP. When I moved to Louisville, Kentucky, in a GE-owned factory, GE badged employees, fully automated, it was $1,300.
it's wild.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's not what everyone tells you. So
right.
I was not being a manufacturing guy. I decided to go look into it. So I'm still here because there's still lots of opportunity. But before that, I had a startup that was enabling industrial companies that were moving into subscription to essentially turn those on without a lot of effort.
Hmm.
You plugged into existing quote-to-cash systems and just turned on a subscription, essentially business, very easily for them. We were acquired by GE. They were reselling our product as part of Predix. And the company was actually spun out of EMC and VMware, which is where I spent a lot of my time selling enterprise hardware and developer platforms. So having spent pretty much most of my career in front of customers in tech, uh, it's very different
Right.
in terms of how budgets work, how decisions are made, what resources a customer has to be able to do things. Um, and, the GPU might be the same that you're selling to an IT customer and a factory, but the work that GPU is doing different.
Right.
The value it's creating is different.
Hmm.
And the way they evaluate solutions is also different. So it's still learning. And with all of the AI getting piled in, I'm going
Yeah.
to continue calling myself a refugee.
Fair enough. So when you think about those, what are some parallels that you've seen, or some value you've been able to bring from the tech world to manufacturing that's not necessarily, it's kind of like low hanging fruit in your opinion?
uh, I mean, we all talk about data.
Hmm.
I mean, in IT, everything is driven by data, right? We might be using ERP applications, but at the end of the day, it's the data that's being generated that really drives your business. And it's good that manufacturing finally has realized that we have a lot of data sitting everywhere, but it's not moving at the same pace.
Yeah.
So we can come in from tech and apply our lessons in manufacturing. But the reality is that, just like I said earlier, the same level of resources are not there. The way things get budgeted are different. So what you bring to the table in terms of the solution has to be very different. Right? You can show up with a platform to IT, what I call a bag of tricks, and they can take that bag of tricks, right? Because they have the resources, IT will typically have resources to take that and turn it into something meaningful for the company.
Hmm.
Uh, we talk a lot about IT, OT. The reality is most OT groups are pretty small.
Right.
They're already buried, right? Already fighting fires. And for you to come in with a solution that requires them to actually think about what they're doing, means that they actually need to take time away from the day job to
Yeah.
evaluate this. And so a lot of times what ends up happening is the day job wins over this evaluation, so they don't end up doing anything, right? So you end up in a situation where your biggest competition is not another product, it's actually the customer aren't doing anything, right?
Mm.
And then there's many reasons. Lack
Yeah.
of time is one of them,
Right.
but there's others as well. But that's, I think, we can look at it there's a lot of similarities in terms of the technology that we're bringing,
Right.
but we need to rethink how we're positioning these, and
Yeah.
it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, what are some specific examples of mistakes you see, like primarily like tech platform companies making when they're approaching the manufacturing market? What are some of the
Spending too much time talking about the tech.
yeah right yeah
I've had conversations where, I mean, it's AI everywhere, right?
Mhm.
And I've had conversations where uh, um, I've literally had somebody who's a line builder also deploys ERP and MES machines that, they get targeted all the time by startups, vendors with the AI products.
right
And they also have kind of the same issue that the manufacturer has, the OT team, that they don't have resources and they need to figure all of this out.
right
And so, I've heard things like, this two vendors came in, I couldn't tell which one was better than the other one.
yeah
Right.
yeah
And now you're getting into where they don't end up doing anything
Mhm.
because there's no burning issue
yeah
that requires them to bring the solution in.
right
So
yeah I've been on that side of so I was on the digitalization team for a business unit in DuPont, and part of that was just evaluating products. And so you'd get 10 products that looked exactly the same, and it really came down to who you more of a feeling than scientific, which is kind of a problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is that when the customer is making a choice, when you have 10 products in front of you, you're also making a choice about your job and your career,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Selecting a vendor.
Right.
So, part of that is building trust, and building trust is that you're speaking the same language as them.
Yes.
Right? If you come in with a tech-heavy language, that's not their daily language.
They don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's going to confuse them, and again lead to this is too much for me. I have enough other things to do.
Right.
So it won't get done.
Right. My next promotion depends on this going well.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to think about that, right? So it's important to understand how the job is actually being done today,
Right.
As opposed to coming in and saying, my widget will change everything for you. Well, how about starting with, empathy and talking about the issues that they have, right? So you can build trust that I know you're dealing with this every day,
Right?
100%. And I have a solution that can help your job,
Yeah.
right? And your company. So
Yeah.
that's sales 101. Sometimes we get too excited about the tech and forget that
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
somebody's making a decision about their job when they're also making a decision about your product.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I ran into that one of my first pitches to a company for services. I was the guy. Luckily enough, the guy stopped me in the middle. He's like, "You're talking about this like an engineer." He's like, "I don't care about that." He's like, "You need to tell me how this is going to help me."
exactly.
It's like well, you're right.
Yeah. I'm going to spend money, right?
Yeah.
I have lots of other places where I need to spend money. Right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
why you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the question. So you're uniquely positioned with these, I call it a fresh set of eyes coming into manufacturing. So like that was the tech side, what they're doing wrong. With your fresh set of eyes, what is something that's kind of a trend or a theme in manufacturing that you've seen right now that is fundamentally disagree with or think could be done better?
I think the problem, I mean, it's still tech. Everyone realizes they need to use technology to help them.
Yeah.
Right. The challenge is what? And I think that the problem is that a lot of the messaging is tech heavy, as opposed to job heavy in terms of what job needs to be done, right? And I think we need to do a better job, right? The whole digital industry that's targeting manufacturing, actually any industrial sector, needs to do a better job of understanding what the actual jobs are that you're having an impact on.
Yeah.
Right? We don't do that enough, right? We show up with tech, platforms, everything. And, there's very little like, I know you're doing this on a day-to-day basis, right? I know you have this issue. And that's very rare, right? Speaking the customer's language, the plant manager's language, right? The operator's language. and being able to actually describe the problem and the solution without talking about AI,
Yeah.
I think will help us get a long way.
Right. Right.
Because it goes back to when somebody's making a decision on your product, they're also making a decision on the job, right?
Yeah.
On their job. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's important to understand, okay, what is the job and how is it going to improve?
Right.
Be able to describe that in their own terms, because they also need to internally go justify
Yeah. Yeah.
why this vendor over this one, right?
Right.
So I think we need to do a better job, right, of that. Essentially, we can't use the playbook that works for IT
Yeah.
to sell, basically IT type solutions
Yeah.
to manufacturing.
Right. So I hear the term solutions as a service a lot more and more nowadays. What does that mean to you? And do you agree with that moniker?
To me, that's more IT talk.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I've never talked to a plant manager or a factory owner who talks about I need solutions as a service.
Right.
They're always describing about the problems that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you deliver your solution as a service or in piecemeal, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
They're trying to address a problem that needs to go away. And so this is another example of where using IT terms to describe things that are completely foreign in an industrial setting. Right?
Yeah. Right.
So again, it's use the customer's own language, right? Use the users, the buyers, whoever influences your deal, use their language.
Yeah.
To describe the problem, the solution, the benefit.
Right.
Not yours.
Yeah. Exactly. It's good advice.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're not the one that's forking out the money, right?
Yeah,
You're not
right.
you're not setting budget aside for this thing, right? You're not having to justify why you should pay for this. You're asking somebody else, right,
Yep.
to part with money.
Mm-hmm.
So you should first align with them, right, before you start bringing all of your language and terminology in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Agreed. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it, but you've got a great story. You're talking about putting in a solution and then like the customer also feels like their job is on the line. It was a story about a deployment where you had to go and make sure everything was okay, but the customer was super antsy.
Which one was this?
You had to fly in somewhere and like the guy hit the table with a piece of metal.
Oh,
Yeah. Can you?
Oh, this is very early on in my career. This is
Yeah.
where I learned why customers buy. Why anytime they make a decision, they're also making a decision on their job. And I having been in sales, and very early on, I started in support and as a field engineer for a
Mhm.
hardware company, and I had many incidents like this, but this particular one was like literally I'm 2 years out of college, or maybe even not, maybe a year out of college, and I'm at a customer site where they had gone down because of something that we had done, or not we had done, is basically the system went down because of whatever, I don't even remember. And I was one of the guys who went in to help figure out what needs to be fixed, right? Bring it back up. And literally when you show up at the customer site, we met with the CFO, and it's a manufacturing shop. Their entire system, ERP, MES, everything was running on this. So they weren't taking any orders. They weren't shipping anything. They weren't building anything. So you walk over to the factory floor, you see like people are just standing around. You go to the break room, people are just standing around. And the CFO tells us, this is when I learned that you get insurance for wages as well, right? If you can't pay. So he said, we had to go to insurance to get these wages, to pay wages because of this outage. And then the IT administrator who'd made the decision on the company that I worked for, he obviously didn't look very good at this point.
Right.
And we had this meeting with the CFO, and then I went down with the administrator to go figure out what was going to happen, what needed to be done. He got very angry, very, very angry, to the point where he had this steel bar sitting on his desk, picked it up and started hitting the floor. Basically, he was worried about his job. He was going to lose his job.
Livelihood. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but so it's empathy. Customer empathy is very important, and
Right.
and not just customer empathy, user empathy, right? The person whose day job you're impacting,
Yeah.
right? Same thing with the person who's going to set aside budget. You need to understand what is the process, what drives them.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a story you don't forget very often.
No,
Very soon.
no, I've got many others like that
Oh,
as
I'm
well,
sure,
right?
yeah.
Where literally, something that the company I worked for, there's an outage,
Yeah.
and you could see it affects a lot of people.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, when you sit back and look at it, it's like, yeah, they're also worried about their jobs too, right? Especially the people who decided on you,
Right.
Like,
Right.
to bet on you,
Yeah,
the
100%.
company. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great story. So last question. You, you're also uniquely situated to where you probably see all of the startups in the manufacturing world. What are they doing that's maybe just you can talk about in broad strokes,
Mhm.
or just what are
Mhm.
some cool ways that they're using some of this new technology to help manufacturers, and what's some stuff that you're excited about?
So I think
How can they approach it?
some of the more interesting things are around autonomous operation of equipment. Um, and uh, we all talk about lack of skills, lack of people.
Yeah.
One of the big challenges that there's not enough of a pipeline
Mm.
of people coming into manufacturing.
Right.
And when you don't have that, right, you depend on technology, a lot more automation. I'm going to steal something that Rockwell talks about, right? Moving from automation to autonomy.
Mm.
Um, and uh, and we see startups that are focused in different vertical sectors. For example, who can monitor and control the whole casting process for metals.
Wow.
Can monitor and control, how you design drugs in a bioreactor, so controlling the whole bioreactor and the experiment. So you essentially iterating to the point where you get to the final recipe. Right?
Yeah.
That's very software type of thinking, right?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of interesting things going on from an AI and autonomy perspective. But none of it is LLM, obviously.
Right.
Um, and uh, um, and then the other interesting thing I think is also what's happening with equipment, where you have essentially the world of physical AI, and that term is coined by NVIDIA, but I think we all understand what it means, right? So there's a lot of innovation going on there. I'm a fan of open source,
Yeah.
and I think ultimately we need more open source
Yeah.
to enable. Right? There's a lot of things that a lot of companies are building that really are not really IP. Those things should be open source, so we can all move up the stack,
Right.
and solve real problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think I'm excited about a lot of the autonomous stuff.
Yeah. How far out do you think, like, if you take just one of those use cases or verticals, like how far out do you think we are from like fully autonomous operations in one of those?
The whole process and factory, I don't know. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why VCs like Momenta investing. Today, what you see is it's very vertical specific.
Yeah.
Sometimes equipment specific, right? Where it's autonomous, but it's not the whole process.
Yeah. Like
Um,
lights out across the
yeah,
whole thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's not there yet. I think it goes back to the fact that you have existing environments that you're not just going to go out and switch out. Like
Right.
in IT, every 3 to 5 years, you're replacing stuff. Right?
Yep.
You don't do that here. You might be dealing with a piece of equipment that's 30, 40 years old.
Right.
So, but I think that's where the opportunity is, right? Is in brownfield. There's not a lot of new factories being built.
Right.
So we need to figure out how to up level all the existing stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then last thing, I wanted to double click when you said obviously not LLM for the tech. So there's the deterministic versus probabilistic. Can you talk about that a little bit and why that's important in manufacturing?
So, deterministic is essentially very simply, every time I ask you something, you're going to give me the same answer every time.
Yeah.
Right? Probabilistic is that it's doing a calculation, right? It's not going to give you the same answer. We see that in LLMs all the time. And if you're in a factory, it not giving you the same answer every time, could mean life or death, right, for someone.
Right.
And so you need deterministic, right? When I do this, I know it's always going to respond like this. Not like when I do this, it's roughly going to respond like this. Right?
Yeah.
You have physical equipment sitting there, right? You're working with physical equipment, and
Yep.
it can't be like the probability of it giving you that command or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It needs to be it's going to be exactly that every single time.
Right. I had a buddy that worked for last week, texted me, works for a machine builder, and he said, I just ran into my first like senior controls engineer that did a takeoff of prints for IO
Uh-huh.
to be loaded into a PLC, and he used Claude for it, and he just
Yeah.
like blanket
Yeah.
just put the output in.
Oh,
It was
interesting.
very wrong. So they brought in like him as a system integrator on that machine to fix it. So I think that's one of the downsides, of using a
And-
probabilistic model.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if maybe some of it you can fix with process, but at the end of the day, right, it still goes back to until you can, it's the same answer every time.
Right.
It's too risky, right?
Yeah. In these environments, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just the risk is not worth it.
Right.
Because it is life or death. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool.
Cool. All right, that was it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.